Professor Valerie Corfield is a retiree who continues to serve in advancing research outputs and research careers of academics in molecular and cell biology, health sciences, and other disciplines, performing various services at Stellenbosch University, the University of Western Cape, the University of Johannesburg, the South African Medical Research Council, and the National Research Foundation.
The highlight of many academics' life is when they get their PhD. I mean, it's really a coming of age. I got my PhD when I was quite old, actually. I was 41. I think this is 1985, because in between I'd had 3 children as well, you know, and been to America twice, and got my MSc there, and worked when I was there at university, at Wright State University. But finally I came back, settled down. Took me a little while. There was a lot of writing and thinking and working, and then I got my PhD.
Professor Corfield was employed by the South African Medical Research Council as a senior research scientist for 28 years. That is from 1986 till 2014. She undertook research in the South African Medical Research Council Center for Molecular and Cellular Biology. Part of this work included community liaising, presenting workshops and talks to school children and their teachers across South Africa.
An honor for me to talk about Professor Valerie Corfield in her receiving this prestigious award, which is the SAMRC Presidential Award. Whenever she was asked to come and assist, she would come very happily so, and even leave some of her important research work which she was doing as an MRC researcher at the time. But she never complained about the time that she spent with the science educators in the township. And the teachers in the townships knew her very well as well. At some point they would even call her the mad hat scientist, because she liked wearing funny hats when she was doing her workshops. Amongst the things that Professor Valerie Corfield did was to teach learners about genetics in a very fun manner that made students very excited about it. And she was even using things like storylines like The Bold and the Beautiful to help learners understand genetics and all of that.
Another aspect of my life, and something I've done quite a lot since, especially since I retired, well, I haven't really retired, but you know, I have this, everyone laughs about when I retire. So now what I spend quite a lot of time doing is involvement with the NRF rating system, which rates academics into various categories depending on their research profile. And all of this is done online, so I'm showing I go into the NRF online system, and we're looking for the panel meetings, the ratings panel meetings, and there's a lot of specialist committees.
When I joined the NRF in 2009, Valerie was already part of the rating system. She started as a panel member, she then became the convener, and then later she became the assessor, then promoted to become a chairperson.
Hi, good evening. I'm Craig Kinnear. I am the director of the South African Medical Research Council's Genomics platform, and I'm also an ex-postgraduate student of Professor Valerie Corfield. Now, I've met Valerie in 1998 when I was a BSc Honours student at UWC, and Valerie did the genetics module of our honours course. And before we were actually introduced, our then supervisor called all of us into the office to explain to us exactly what it is that we are going to experience during this course. And when we met Valerie in the lecture theatre the first time, she walked in larger than life, and when she started doing her lectures, I was completely hooked on genetics, so much so that the next year I was in her office asking her to please supervise me for my MSc. Valerie loves science, she loves mentoring, she loves supervising students, and she's got a keen sense of community outreach. And this is what makes her an excellent supervisor for postgraduate students. And I count myself fortunate that I was amongst those students being mentored by Valerie. And to this day, she still mentors me whenever I need her.
I've worked with many wonderful people. Most of these the people in these pictures are students that I worked with, many of whom still continue with heart disease even, and up there is Craig Kinnear, who's one of the people who's going to be talking in this video, I believe, and this is a student who's now back at Stellenbosch University working on heart conditions like I was talking about. Oh, and over there someone else was very dear to me, Kelly Paramatlapi, and she and I had a great time on all the public communication of science work. And there's so many others there that I can't mention, all of whom have played a very important role.
Hello, I'm Hugh Watkins, a long-time collaborator and friend of Valerie's. I work at the University of Oxford. I'm delighted to take part today and really thrilled to see this award being made to Valerie. I'm going to speak about Valerie's distinction as a research scientist. So I'll be drawing on the middle part of her career. I won't cover her work on plant science, although I noted that she was working on biofuels decades ahead of her time. And I won't so much talk about the outreach and the service that she's offered to the NRF and others. I'm going to talk about her core research on the molecular genetics of inherited heart disease. So over the last 3 decades, this has been an exciting and impactful field, and Valerie's been there right from the start. In the early 1990s, it makes me feel old to say that, it was just becoming possible to map a gene that caused an inherited condition. And if you could do that, you could find the precise cause of a previously unexplained disorder. But it was really hard. So to make it worthwhile, you had to do something important. And Valerie picked the heart diseases that run in families, that can cause young people to die, sometimes suddenly. These are conditions that are quite common, and they occur in all populations across the world, so they're really important. And then you have to identify and study large families with these conditions and find many individual members in the family that have the same disorder. That's really hard, but I believe especially so in an African country. And then you have to diagnose them correctly. And here her long-time collaboration with her close colleague Paul Brink, critically important. And then when you've got that material, you have to painstakingly search the whole genome looking for spelling mistakes. And as Valerie would explain, if this was something she was doing in outreach, that's like taking a book with 1,000 million words and looking for just one word that's spelled incorrectly. So to do that takes tenacity, conviction, and passion. And that's what Valerie brought to this field, and that's why she achieved so much. She was always fantastic at motivating her research team, just wonderful at motivating and finding collaborators, and I've been a great beneficiary of that. And most important of all, working with, supporting and motivating the families that had these terrible conditions to encourage them to take part in the research. So that really delivered. So for example, early on, Valerie and her group provided some of the first evidence that different genes that cause different kinds of heart muscle condition have different outcomes. Some are more severe than others. And one of our first papers together, 1995, was on that topic. Her group discovered a novel gene for an entirely novel disorder called progressive familial heart block, which is a condition we still recognize today, and when we identify it, we test that gene that Valerie discovered. And that's one example of many that she used to build a laboratory that could provide molecular genetic diagnosis in Cape Town, something that didn't exist before, but has persisted to the day. And she built a cadre of skillful and committed trainees, many of whom I've had the privilege of working with, and many of whom have really contributed to building capacity and diversity in the medical science research force in Cape Town and more widely. And that commitment to diversity would be another central thing that we should spotlight, something that Valerie held dear and really did practical things about them. She achieved all of this with a just terrific personal style that most of you who know her will know. Valerie doesn't take herself too seriously. She's fun, but she takes her work and her commitment to others incredibly seriously. So she achieved terrific recognition, funding from some of the most desirable and difficult to get sources, several grants from the Wellcome Trust, a really high NRF rating, and now this President's Award. What a fitting accolade for someone who's done so much and with such generosity and passion. Well done to you, Valerie.
Pray that the Lord may grant you more days of your life and keep you safe so that you can continue sharing your wisdom with the rating system. We also congratulate you on your well-deserved award. Well done, Professor Valerie Corfield.
Valerie, I commend you for all that you have done for science in South Africa. I commend you for all that you have done for your postgraduate students. I applaud you for receiving this very prestigious award. This is well deserved. Speaking for myself and the rest of your postgraduate students, I would like to thank you for all the effort and time that you put into our careers. Many of us will not be where we are today without your support and your guidance. Enjoy your moment. This is a very well-deserved honor bestowed on somebody of your caliber, and I can just reiterate the fact that you have been an amazing mentor, and I would not be where I am today without you. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I cannot think of a more deserving person to receive this award than Professor Corfield. Even I personally got to learn a lot from her, and I developed a lot from her. It really has been an honor working with her, and congratulations, Professor Corfield.